Rosso Corsa, Estoril Blue, Nardo Gray, Hugger Orange. No, I'm not just naming off the colors of the rainbow. These are some of the most iconic car color options out there. But besides these iconic colors, have you ever wondered about those not so iconic but just off the wall crazy color options? Well, you're in for a treat because I've broken down 9 of the craziest color options from each exotic car manufacturer. Now, we're sticking with exotics because, let's face it, you're not gonna find these color options on your Toyota Camry. And we're gonna kick it off from least crazy to most crazy, starting off with Koenigsegg. Now, of course, they're known for the Koenigsegg CCX. Yeah, that one. And most recently the Gamera that even if we all pooled our money together, we probably couldn't afford.
$443,000 option.
Now normally these Swedish design beasts aren't known for sporting their flashy colors because you definitely don't need a sick paint job when you're blasting past people at 240 miles per hour. Or while it's spending its entire life in a climate-cooled garage. But the good news here is that Koenigsegg offers you this sweet purple paint job. Now, okay, purple isn't exactly a crazy color, but let's just enhance this one a little bit. And boom, that's not a purple paint job. Those are carbon fiber panels that just so happen to be painted in purple. I mean, this is pretty sweet. It's almost like this car was created for the Black Panther himself, and you're gonna need to be a king from Wakanda to be able to afford this option because coming in at $346,000, that's gonna cost you a pretty penny. Now speaking of options, next up we have the Pagani Huayra Lampo. And if I had the option to spec my Pagani, this would not be it. Now technically this isn't really a color option, but because Pagani is one of the most exclusive car manufacturers out there and their cars are basically one-offs, I decided to put the Lampo on this list. Now if you're like me, you're probably used to seeing Pagani with this spec or this spec, and so putting this Huayra Lampo next to those Pagani specs is just out of this world. It's almost like a poorly executed Tron edition Pagani. But honestly, the more I stare at it, the more I kind of like it. Maybe it's because the Pagani Huayra has those sweet side mirrors and that carbon fiber, that red carbon fiber that looks like the Koenigsegg's purple one that we just saw earlier. Anyways, if you're curious to know more about the Lampo, it's owned by this guy, and no, they didn't butcher his first name when naming the car. It's actually named after the Italian word for lightning, because as it's so called by the man himself, it's powerful, unexpected, and magical. I'll leave it at this. There was definitely something magical going on in the design meeting to paint this thing. Now you're also going to need a little bit of magic to keep these cars on the road, and you guessed it, this is the Aston Martin with the lime essence and Kermit green color option. Now I had a pretty tough time deciding the craziest color for Aston Martin because I'm so used to seeing them in that James Bond silver and like that Hitman black spec, but lately Aston Martin has been hitting us with some crazy colors. I mean, just check these out. From those crazy colors, I'm gonna have to go with the lime essence or either the Kermit green as outright the craziest ones of them all. You see, Kermit green is pretty crazy because if you want to let everyone know that you like the Muppets, then this car is for you. You know, you put a suit on, you get out of that car, you're gonna be looking like this. Now lime essence is also pretty crazy. It's like watching the Muppets on one of those old TVs that has the color balance off. Yeah, you know it's green, but it's not really green. That's what lime essence is gonna give you. Now I don't know if it's just me, but man, that Kermit green kind of pops for reals. I'm gonna have to paint my car that color in the future. Now what do you get when you mix green essence and Kermit green together? That's right, Lotus Krypton Green. Okay, that's not entirely correct, but if you stare at this green for a really long time, then you're probably gonna freaking burn your eyeballs off. Have you ever just stared at the sun for a little bit too long and then try to look at the world? That's pretty much the effect that this Krypton Green is gonna give you in person, because you're gonna be like, is this yellow? Is this green? Am I going blind? Now I'm more used to seeing some Lotuses in that silver, that orange color, so if you roll up with the Krypton Green Lotus, then I'm gonna think you wrapped it. So knowing that Lotus offered this crazy color, that's pretty cool. Now if you made it this far, we're now heading into my favorites, starting with this McLaren Curaçao Blue. Now there's 2 reasons that I put this color on here. One, it kind of looks like my favorite flavor of gum. Sorry about that. And 2, if you look at the color wheel, the Curaçao Blue is directly across that McLaren Orange. And that's pretty crazy because we're so used to seeing McLarens painted in this color and not so much on these colors. And that goes for pretty much every other exotic car out there. I mean, when was the last time you saw a blue or even baby blue color out there? It's bright, it's in your face, and plus it's named after this tiny little island just north of Venezuela. Didn't think you'll learn some geography today, eh? Next up we got the Ferrari Rossodino. Now this color option from Ferrari isn't really that crazy at all, but you gotta be a real crazy person to spec your Ferrari out in this color as opposed to the classic Ferrari Rosso Corsa. Rossodino is really polarizing. Yeah, it's a pretty old color option, and yeah, you probably recognize it from this one-of-one Ferrari Enzo, but this orange-red kind of color isn't really what you associate typically with Ferrari, and that's why I had to put it on this list. Although if you gave me a Ferrari with the Rossodino on it, you bet I will drive the freaking wheels off that thing. Now following up the Italian counterpart, we got Lamborghini with the Oro Helios color. Lamborghini is known for their wonderful color palette. I mean, you get any of your Lambos in these colors, you're sure to stand out. So why did I pick the Oro Helios when you have all these other Lamborghini color options? Well, I think about it this way. You got a $400,000 to $500,000 car. Who's to say you're not crazy enough to melt some actual gold and use that to paint your car with it? Okay, this isn't actually gold paint, but the good news for you is that it's real and it's not one of those fake wraps. So this thing's legit. It honestly reminds me of like one of those medieval horses that used to have that armor on them, that bronze shiny looking armor. That's basically what this is. You got your Lamborghini Bull with some armor on it. Next up we got Porsche with that ruby stone red, and this has got to be one of the craziest color options out there. I mean, did you guys even know that this color option existed? I thought for sure that it was just some grandma that had a Barbie obsession, and so she custom painted one of her old 911s from this, but it's an actual option. Now there's some good news and bad news. The good news is you can still get this color option today. Bad news is you're either gonna have to buy an old Porsche that is gonna run you about $400,000 to $500,000, or if you got about like $150,000 for the new Taycan, you can spec it out this way. Now, it's not a color option that everyone likes, but you gotta admit, it looks good just sitting right here. So we covered off on Koenigsegg, Pagani, Aston Martin, Lotus, Ferrari, Lamborghini. What the heck is left? Can you guess it? That's right, the baddest and fastest of them all, Bugatti with the Pur Sange color. It's French, right? Now, what is the Pur Sange? Because it looks like the AutoZone Chrome Special that someone just slapped on this Bugatti. Well, Pur Sange basically means pure-blooded, and that's what you're getting with this Bugatti right here. It's straight up pure aluminum and pure carbon. So not really a paint option, but you gotta admit it's pretty crazy. Now imagine you're driving your Pur Sange down the road, sunny skies out, meanwhile you got your shades on, oblivious to the fact that you're probably blinding about half the roadway in front of you. If you drive this thing, you're basically like shining 1,000 iPhones at oncoming traffic, getting that little sun glare. Now honestly, this is that one supercar with that one paint option that people wouldn't mind just stayed in a climate cooled garage. So let me have it, guys. Which one was your favorite? Did I miss some crazy color options? Leave me a comment down below. Who knows, maybe I'll make a part 2 with those comments. I'll catch you guys next time. Pur Sange. Probably butchered that, didn't I? Oh well.